it's my great pleasure to give you a present from an electronic arts collective, and mostly music and primarily analog modular synthesists, who's been going for almost 20 years in Australia. It's called Clan Analogue, and we finally put together a retrospective of our history. It's a 2 CD set plus a DVD with all our Madcat videos over the years. And Bob, of course, has been such a big inspiration to everybody in the collective, and we used to have a Bob Moog birthday party celebration once a year in Sydney, and so I told the folks back home that I would officially hand this to you and to say thank you for your work that you're doing with Bob's legacy, and to wish you the very best of luck with your endeavours in the future.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll look forward to listening to it. And it's great to know that there's such an active analog synthesis community in Australia. That's wonderful.
Ah, yes, we're absolutely obsessed.
My name is Michelle Moog-Koussa. I'm the Executive Director of the Bob Moog Foundation. And it was originally created by Bob's family, friends, and colleagues after we received an incredible outpouring when Bob was sick and when he did pass away from really the worldwide community. We set up a website for him so people could just kind of keep up with how he was doing, and we got 60,000 hits on that website in about 7 weeks. And on the day that he died alone, we received 20,000 hits and several thousand people signing into a guest book, a kind of virtual guest book online, and reflecting on what Bob Moog had meant to their life. And a lot of them said things like, Bob Moog gave me my voice, he gave me a voice for my creativity, and you know, I'm a musician because of Bob Moog, and those kind of things that are actually very profound. And as a family, we had been shielded from that kind of thing up until that time, because my father was a very, very humble man. He didn't really bring his work home very much. We certainly knew of his larger accomplishments, but we didn't talk about them very much at home. And he was just our dad. And to know that he had affected people's lives like this all over the world, we felt was a incredibly worthy thing to be carrying forward. So we created the foundation, and the foundation is, the mission is to educate and inspire people through electronic music. Bob was big on education himself. He loved to show people the gear, whether they were people who knew a little bit about electronic music or not. I always tell people he was known for taking theremins into nursing homes, into rural Indiana schools, and into inner city schools in Los Angeles. So the way that we're carrying on that whole spirit of education and the curiosity that's involved in scientific exploration is we've created a curriculum that we're working on called Moog Lab. It's an interactive experience where we're bringing Moog instruments into the schools to teach kids the science behind music. Eventually, as we get a little bit bigger and stronger and we have more resources, we'd like to have a whole educational component online to be able to share with the worldwide community of science teachers, of music teachers. We really would love to be able to show people how effective it is to teach the two together. The other thing we're doing is we're preserving and protecting Bob Moog's archives. Bob left behind a really historic, extensive archive that span a breadth of mediums that includes over 300 reel-to-reel tapes from the early days of synthesis that are tapes both of Bob and of pioneering synthesis, photos, articles, project notes, schematics, articles, and the list kind of just goes on and on. It's quite a fascinating collection. We did just have an amazing weekend. Moogfest has just wrapped up. I think I'm still processing the enormity of it all. We had over 50 bands here. Moog Music and the Bob Moog Foundation both participated in different ways. The foundation was responsible for putting together panels, workshops, and discussions in what they called the Moogaplex, which was a big ballroom here in downtown. And all of those sessions went over extremely well. And it just brought together a huge community of electronic music lovers. It was really, really wonderful. My father did not encourage us to get into anything electronic at all. As I said, he really held his work at arm's length, and when I would ask him about his work, he would kind of give very vague answers and be a little uncomfortable that I was even asking about it. But you always got this sense that he was connected to the universe in a different way. It's kind of hard to put into words. It's a sense that you get about somebody. I like to say that he had this kind of deep, rare presence, and you knew you were around someone special. Even as a kid, I could feel that. He really started exploring the spiritual realm of what he was doing with my stepmother, who's a philosopher. Her name is Ileana, and I know he talked with her a lot about that. I know my father did believe that his ideas were not his own, that he was a vessel for those ideas, that he worked hard to educate himself, and with that education he then opened his mind up to what he called the network of ideas. And he feels like the ideas came through him from the network.